Right, I'm almost in my happy place, but I came outside to have a look at the shree that I want to make out of Fimo, and I thought I would come and have a look at my big Thuja out here, but it's got a nice contained way of growing, and they make quite good pot plants on a terrace. And so I'm looking at the branches to see how it looks. And I've got some straight lines in there and some little wiggly bits and a whole lot of little things that I can do to texture the femur to look like it looks like that. So now I'll take you inside and show you my small version on how to do it. Okay, so now I'm going to start making a small one of that Thuja, and I'm making it out of black and green and brown Fimo. And what I've done is I've mixed some of the green and the brown together to give a kind of a motley olivey green. And I've rolled some of the black into 3 rolls, and I've pinched them together at the bottom, cut them level and put a piece of pin in there, and then that will go into the oven to bake. And this, but I texture them first before I do that. So I textured that one. That's because I want this to be the bottom layer, and I want to show, it should show through some parts and it has to be textured. Right, so that's the one I'll be working on. This is the one I have been working on. I haven't partially finished, but it's just to show you I didn't texture that, and it would have been more better if I had. I will cover that with green, but this is how it looks when it's finished being textured. And then it'll sit in one of these pots, and I've filled that with paper clay. And there you have a nice contained Thuja for your terrace on your Beacon Hill house. So now I'll show you the way that I do this. I'm using liquid Sculpey just to give it a bit of a stick onto the already baked stuff. Don't need much, just so it holds on there. I'll use one of those ones. So I'm pinching it in the end, and I'm going to use my favourite tool. I'd lost if I lose this tool. And I'll start pressing that green in and pushing it around. Doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be exact, it just has to give the impression of branches, like those little branches, and the dark bits between the leaves. So I'm not trying to do each individual leaf, I am just indicating the bits in between the leaves. This is quite a time-consuming thing, and you really need to just relax into it and just do it. But you can see how it's starting to shape up. So this black bit was baked for 10 minutes at 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Celsius, sorry. Okay, so I want to ultimately show some of that black later with my next piece. So working my way up, I'm sort of starting to get a few more little upright branches in there because they show more at the top. Those Thujas are very slow growing. That one out there is 17 years old. So you can have them in pots for quite a long time. So getting up there, I might put a wee bit more Sculpey on that to make it stick a bit better. A bit messy. And just making those little branchy things. Nobody's going to tell you if you're doing it the right way or the wrong way. You just go with the flow and do what feels like. So I've got a bit of blob of brown there. Well, that's okay. That'll look like a bit of dead something. So that's my first piece. Now I bake between, I'm going to do 3, and I bake in between the steps. So I don't flatten that with my fingers when I'm going around the tree. And it doesn't hurt for this to be baked 3 or 4 times. So that will go in the oven. And then I will complete this one here. And again, this has been baked twice. Put a bit of Sculpey on that. I'm not very scientific when I'm doing things like that. A bit of this, a bit of that. That'll do. She'll be right, mate. Okay, so just pushing this in then and creating another branch that'll grow up in real life into an amazing tree. And I'm just going to leave a bit of that black there for depth and get a few leafy looking bits in there. So I drew this plant here. I drew the thing just to remind me how it should look. So I've got a branch and I'm just putting little dobbly bits to make it look a bit like leaves. Pins come out there, but that's alright. Okay, so just working my way up. So this will be my first finished one. I might not need that bit on the top. So it's looking pretty good. I'm really pleased with this. It might sound like I just sit down and do these things, but I had been thinking about how I was going to do this on the plane on the way back from Sydney in a spare moment. So there I have my little finished tree, which needs to be baked, and then it'll be complete. I could feather it a little bit on the top if I was really fussy. Make it look a bit more feathery for those top little leaves, just give them an impression of little leaves on the top. Maybe on the side now I'm doing it. I mean, as I do these, and I've got 3 to do, I'm sure the third one's going to be absolutely perfect. There we go. The hard stuff done, if you like. Now I'm going to show you, I'm just going to put them in the pots. These pots I bought at the Sydney exhibition. I thought, yes, they'll come in handy. I filled them with paper clay. I've put a hole in there for the pin for the tree, and I will paint that brown, and I might even put a few tea leaves around it just to make it look a bit rough and interesting. And then they'll be ready to go. This still got to be baked, this one. And tomorrow I shall show you my 3 trees on my terrace of my Beacon Hill house.